What's up, guys? We're back with another video. If you are new here, my name is Sammy and we're the Mermaid Gang. This is where you can come and suspend your disbelief. I am your favorite YouTuber and your favorite manifestation coach. So if you would like for me to help you dissolve whatever is between you and your manifestation, go ahead and sign up for coaching with me below. You know you want to. Okay, let's just jump right into it here. There's something I need to yell at you about. I'm not really gonna yell, but there's something we need to discuss very firmly. Stop fucking quitting. You literally quit. You cut yourself off. You're like, it hasn't worked in this many days. It hasn't worked in 2 weeks. It's not working. And then you quit. Or you're like, I just have too much resistance. When I affirm, I have resistance. Do you know what overcomes resistance? Repetition. Bitch. Repetition. Repetition is how you get rid of resistance. Also, there's no cutoff time for when you should stop affirming. There is no, oh, it's been this amount of time, so it's not working. That's not a thing. If you are thinking as if you have what you want and you're being consistent and you're not wavering, one, it's not gonna take a crazy amount of time. But 2 weeks is not a crazy amount of time. A month is not a crazy amount of time. Because if you did have all this resistance, then it's gonna take a little more repetition, and maybe even in most cases what it is, it's not that it takes more repetition. Most of the time, it's not the resistance necessarily that you're affirming through, that you're needing more repetition for. It is that you keep wavering. So the more you waver, the longer you waver, it's gonna take longer. It's how long it takes you to be consistent. And the time it's taking could also be how long it's taking you to train your brain to automatically think this way. To train your brain to be persistent rather than quitting. There is no cutoff time. The only time you should step back and be like, okay, I'm clearly doing something wrong, is if you know you're wavering, is if you know you're doing your affirmations or doing your visuals or your scripting or whatever it is, and then you're turning around and thinking against it most of the other time. Because you can't do that. You can't do an affirming session even 3 times a day or do all these visuals, but then in between that you're still thinking from not having what you want, or thinking of the person as being the person you don't want them to be anymore, or not having the money, or not having the grades, or not having the job, or complaining, or whatever it is. You can't be going back and forth. You can't be double-minded. You have to be persistent in your repetition. That means you're doing your time when you're affirming or scripting or visualizing, and outside of that, anytime you're even thinking of that subject at all, whatever it is that you desire, anytime you're thinking of that subject, you are just go ahead and say your affirmation and think of it the way you want it to be, instead of reverting back to the old way you're thinking about it. And the more you do this, you will train your brain to automatically think this way, to automatically expect this. Another thing I want to mention is y'all start getting hot and cold behavior with your manifestations, whether it be a person or a thing, where you're manifesting it, you're getting your results, and then you stopped affirming because you got some results, and then it goes back. And you're like, well, if I manifested it, how did it go back? Because you didn't keep going to the point of expecting it to be that way. You still had those thoughts, because things will manifest before you assume it to be true. It just, in my experience, they will manifest from consistent thoughts. Things manifest from consistent thoughts. So even though you're consistently thinking this way, if you're not to the point where you fully expect it, even though your manifestation can fully come, fully manifest, If you don't get to the point where you expect it to be this way, expect it to stay this way, if you're still wavering, then yeah, it's going to cause the hot and cold behavior in whatever it is, a person or a thing. And you're going to go back and forth. So even if you've gotten your person, you need to keep affirming until you expect them to the point where you don't even consider them treating you another way or feeling another way or leaving you or ghosting you or whatever it is, until you don't even consider it, until you don't even consider that money not coming in every single day, until you don't even consider not getting good grades. Okay? You need to affirm to the point of expectancy. That is what you need to be doing. There is no cutoff time. There is no time where you're like, oh, I've been affirming for 2 weeks. It's not working. I must be doing something wrong. No, you're cutting yourself right off. Or you're trying 57 different techniques. Or you're wavering. Whatever it is. And stop using resistance as an excuse. I just have too much resistance. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because repetition gets rid of the resistance. It doesn't matter how far off an idea is to you, your brain, whatever. It doesn't matter how far off, how impossible it seems. If you will repeat that shit, your brain will start to be familiar with it. Your brain will start to accept it as being normal. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how impossible it seems. Repetition will create this habit of thinking. And it will become normal. So just because you've started affirming something and it's so far off from what you already have, and you're like, I just don't see how this could happen. This is just too far off from what I believe. I just have too much resistance. No, you don't. The repetition is what works. How do you learn your ABCs? Saying them over and over and over and over again, right? When you were a little child and you didn't know anything about the fucking alphabet whatsoever, it was a very far off, impossible, just unfamiliar, foreign idea to you until you kept saying them over and over and over. And then they became a normal part of your life, right? Just like riding a bike or anything else. The repetition makes things familiar to you. So whether you like it or not, you need to repeat. And if you have a problem with that, then you don't want it bad enough. And that's not my problem. I'm here to tell you what needs to be done. You have to do it. You don't have too much resistance. You just are not willing to do what it takes. Redirect, 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 redirect. The more you redirect, the more you replace those opposing thoughts, the more they won't exist anymore, because the two different thoughts, the two opposing thoughts can't live together. And if you keep replacing, your brain's going to get more familiar with the thing you're replacing it with. And then that is what is going to be accepted. That is what is going to be normal to you. And that is what you're going to experience instead. It's that simple. Stop making excuses for everything. Too much resistance. Did it for 2 weeks. Did it for a month. I don't care. Do it again. Keep doing it until you have stopped wavering. It's not that it's taken forever or it's not working. It's that it's not going to start working the way you want it to until you stop wavering, until you stop quitting. Stop quitting. Stop reverting back to the old way of thinking. Flip it as much as it fucking takes. If you want it, flip it as much as it takes. Who cares? Who cares how many times it takes? Won't it be worth it to get what you want? I know you said yes. So yes, it would. You are right. It would be worth it. You won't give a shit how many times you had to replace it. You will be happy that you did it. So just do it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we out.